I've called this video Lessons from the Launch, and I tell you why, because I want to share some information with you which I think will be really useful. Just this morning, I launched my new book, which is called Paid Reveals the 10 Secrets to Being Richly Rewarded for the Value You Deliver. And it went really well. I thoroughly enjoyed it. In fact, I had an absolute ball doing it. But I sat down afterwards and I made some notes and I said, what were the lessons from the launch? And I'd like to share those lessons with you. I've got 12 of them and a bonus one as well. So here we go. And I've got them written down here on my iPad. Firstly, and I'm a very positive person, if something can go wrong, it probably will. And therefore, what we need to do is we need to be having contingency plans for when something doesn't work. So, for example, one of the key things that can happen is if, for example, you were selling, as I was selling my new book, Get Paid, or as paid as it's called, we use Get Paid as an expression, I knew that there was going to be a lot of orders going to the page, the web page, the order page, and therefore there was a chance that things might go wrong. And halfway through the launch, orders were starting to come in, and it did happen. It fell over for a while, and we had to do it, and so we've got to allow for that. And also what I did in my slides, let me get my slides up. It isn't that particular slide, it was this particular slide. I put that slide up as well to say that if there was a problem when somebody had gone to the website, at least I'd give them an email address where they could follow up and therefore that we wouldn't lose the order. So that was always a good idea. So plan for every contingency that might go wrong, and then obviously we can do a walkthrough. So the other thing, I wish we'd done this because we weren't quite there for this, is to be absolutely ready with everything done, everything working at least 1 week before launch. Some of the stuff we were ready early, but some of the stuff we were actually finishing it off last night. And in fact, some of the stuff we were even finishing this morning just before the launch. In fact, I was changing the slides just before the launch. So again, we've got to be ever so careful with this. And I would suggest that we put a date in, and we've talked about the next one we're doing, to put a date in and say absolutely everything must be ready for that. And of course, we spent months in the planning of this anyway. Number 3, I don't really mean this word, but I'll say it this way: gamble on supplies. And what I mean by that is if you're going to be launching a product or a service, and particularly if you're going to be launching a book, then you've got to gamble on the fact of how many, or you've got to estimate, perhaps is a better word, how many are likely to be needed for the launch, because the last thing people want to do is to wait for weeks and weeks and weeks, which can happen with any sort of product delivery. The way I got round that was as a bonus, and it was a bit of a blind bonus, so I didn't tell people on the launch. They only found out once they'd ordered, because I created a video that they came to after they'd ordered, was to say as an extra special bonus, I'm going to give them the ebook, so that there was no need to wait. They got the ebook straight away so they could dive into the ideas and get going with it. The next thing is practice, 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 practice for real. So with most things, as you know, we can't practice. People say practice makes perfect. No, it doesn't. Practice makes permanent. Perfect practice makes perfect and permanent. So we've got to practice as though it's for real. We can't sort of sit there and we've got to absolutely do it, as I'm doing it through the lens now to you, and we've got to be doing it just for real. And I think we've got to practice the words, and we've got to practice the slides as well. I put together a slide deck, which I'm going to share with you now. Because I use Ecamm as my system to bring my video back in to record, it gives me the opportunity to set up slides and different scenes where I can come to me like this. I can come to a strap line that comes in. You've seen me use this on videos before. At one stage, I was interviewed for half an hour by Stephen Dan in the course of the launch. So I set up a scene that looked like this. So I was on the one side, and as you can see from the name there, I brought Stephen in through the Ecamm system as well, so I can come back to me, and then I can go on to the slides. And so there was that slide there. So if I go back to the start of these, then you can see what I was doing here. And these were lessons from the launch. So that's the first one is about there. The next one there. So that's where it started, and I went through a variety of things. I talked about magnetic titles, and these were testimonials, and then all the numbers and various bits and bonuses that I was adding in, and templates and etc. And here's another idea. I offered a free webinar as well to follow up, and that was $19.99 for the book. But I also did this. I put the QR code there as well. So that was just another idea that you can use if you're going to be doing that. And then that was the whole thing as it went through there. So come back to me. So rehearsing those slides And in your document that you use to present from, and the way that I do that is this: I create for myself an absolute document just for me. This is only for me. And I bind it properly and I put a shiny cover on it. And I also have a PDF version that comes into my iPad so I can present from there. And it means then I've got this that I can work on. And this, in fact, is another one of the key ideas, is to have a running order so that you can keep on track. Good idea to be ticking that running order off as you're going through it, because sometimes we can miss things. For example, we offered some prize draw on the thing, and three of the prize draws was a brand new Kindle Fire HD10. And we did the first one. I did it almost straight away when people joined, but I forgot to do some of them. And towards the end, we had to catch up because there were 10 prizes altogether. So at the end, I've done about 6 of the prizes. Boom, 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 boom. And how do you allocate the prizes? Well, I tell you how I did. This might be useful to you. Is I found online a random letter generator. So I had it on my phone. You can see it there. And then I just press this and it comes up with A. And so we could select somebody whose first name began with A or whatever it might be. Just another nice little idea for you. Check the equipment 2 or 3 times, making sure absolutely everything is working. Test the payment system that you have for your launch, if you're doing a book launch or a product launch of some description, and get different people with different card providers to test your payment system to make sure everything works well, and test it on PayPal, obviously, and Google Pay, and all the different cards that people can possibly use. Have someone who's not on your team go through the complete buying process. That can be really useful. Record it if you're going to do it live like this, or you're going to do a live, because then what you can do, and I'll be doing this either later today or maybe over the next few days, is I will watch the whole thing. Not from any sort of pride point of view, but I'll be watching it going, yeah, I could have done that slightly better. Oh, I could have done that differently. Oh, I like that one. I'll keep that bit in. So I think that's always a good idea. We want absolute clarity on the offering and the offer that we're making. Both the offering, what it all is, and the offer, in other words, the money side of things. So that when we come to do that, it is crystal clear for anybody, and we're fluent when we're saying it. He said, stumbling over those words. If it's online, as I've just shown you there, then we could have the web address. Let me come back to the slides and I'll show you a different one, which is another way of doing this. If I come back to this, right, then what I can do is, you can see I've embedded the book on the screen as well. And then I've got this ticker going across the bottom, which is actually showing the web address and the different bonuses that are happening. And that is just a great idea, because it's a moving thing and all the rest of it. I did a different ticker, which was this particular one, and I made it go a bit faster, and you get the idea of that as well. So that was another good idea for embedding the web address QR code. We want to provide that contact email just in case there's a problem, as I mentioned before. And perhaps my last one about paid, and obviously I'm delighted if you get paid and you've seen what the address is and all the rest of it, is to enjoy it. Is to absolutely have a blast doing it, because we want to be naturally ourselves on camera. We want to be talking to our audience, knowing that they're there. You may not be able to see them if you're doing it as a webinar as opposed to a web meet, but absolutely having a blast doing it. After all, isn't that what we do? That's what you and I do. We set out there to help our clients solve their problems, capitalize on opportunities, and share with them our knowledge, our experience, and our expertise. And if you've enjoyed this video, there's loads of my videos around here somewhere. We'll tell you what I should do is put my strapline back up, shouldn't I? There we go. My strapline back up. I'm operating that by my Stream Deck, by the way. So I continue to wish you every success in all your adventures in life. If I can help you with launch or anything else in the meantime, just let me know. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye now.